This episode of History in Hockey is the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. Growing up in a very small town here in eastern North Carolina, we always knew that there was the Negro Baseball League back in the earlier 1900s, and it was around around 1930s, and what I didn't know was that the team was called the Kinston Grays at that time, and it was a small league of all black baseball players. And so I did a little research, and I found that hockey had a similar league called the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. And after looking it up and doing some research and getting familiar with the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes, I also ran across some things that was of controversy in the online, on social media, in videos, and on YouTube and other social media as well. And I got to looking at it, and the controversy stemmed from a book called Black Ice, which was written by George Robert Frost and his brother Darrell Frosty. And Black Ice alludes to the thought that black Canadians invented hockey, when in fact hockey predates the CHL by centuries. The CHL, however, had a huge impact on ice hockey, professional ice hockey at that. It predated the NHL by a couple of years, quite a few years. It influenced how the game is played today and innovated it. Indeed invented such things as the goalie butterfly block, the slap shot, among other things. While hockey was played in many different variations by early Egyptians, from people of ancient Greece, Ireland, and early Europe, it came to be that the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes was the first organized league in hockey. So they invented that, the league play of hockey. Conceived in 1895 by founders James Robinson Johnston, Pastor James Borden, James A.R. Kinney, and Henry Sylvester Williams, the league was to empower black communities in spite of many challenges they faced. The league was formed by these men who were a group of black Canadian intellects and churchmen. It was said the only rules they had to govern play was the rules of the Bible. All the founders were Baptist, and their faith influenced the way they structured the league. Each team was to be affiliated with a different congregation, which reveals another purpose of the league: to get young men to come to church. Thus, hockey served as a twofold mission. What I later also learned was that many of the players that played in the Colored Hockey League were also baseball players who was looking to stay in shape during the off season, so they took up playing ice hockey. Many of the hockey players proved to be fast skaters. Names like Eddie Martin, credited with inventing the slap shot in 1906, Henry Braces Franklin of the Dartmouth Jubilees pioneered what is now known as the butterfly style of goaltending in 1900. He was the first goaltender to fall to the ice to cover the puck after the CHL made it an allowable rule, where among the other stars of the CHL's later legends like Glenn Hall was the first goaltender that revolutionized and protected the maneuver. Today, both the slap shot and butterfly block are all used in every level of hockey, thanks to the two true inventors of these two key parts of today's hockey game. By the late 19th century, it had a much smaller black population than it does now. 21,400 as of 1881 census. Nearly 2.2 million in 2016, after which the loosening of immigration restrictions of the 1960s paved the way for many Caribbeans and Africans to call Canada home. Many were formerly enslaved persons who found refuge in British Canada, which had outlawed slavery decades before the United States. Canadian authorities welcomed the people who were formerly in bondage, but didn't necessarily treat them as their equals. They were often forced to move to Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Halifax, the largest city in the region, became a population and cultural center for Black Canadians. There was also a group of people who sought for equality for Black people, not only in Canada, but also through the British Empire. Their goal wasn't for legal equality only. They fought for social respect from their new countrymen. Hockey was seen as a means to gain such equality. By the 1900s, the league was playing and becoming successful, despite racism toward coaches and players. Multiracial crowds would gather to see championship matches. Reporters would come and watch and later report it about the speed and the different styles of play that these players displayed on the ice. By the 1920s, the league was reorganized. By the time the 1930s came, the Colored Hockey League was at its end and dissolved. Many players kept playing even though the league was gone. Today, very little is said about the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. Therefore, a lot of its history has been lost. I hope that you'll read more about this advanced, pioneer, innovative league. And thanks to the references that I used in finding more about this history in hockey of the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes, through Black History Ottawa, The Deflector, Parks Canada, Hockey Writers, and Adam Rothstein's 29. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of History in Hockey. I'm your host, Kyle Howard. Thank you for joining.